if someone just isn't registering what you're saying, it doesn't really matter that you know it. It matters that they're not getting it. So you have to figure out ways to get through. So
Brian Gussis, welcome to the Unboxing Creatives podcast. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for this conversation. For those who don't know Brian is regional manager and director of instruction for GolfTec. Shout out to the Woodbridge, New Jersey location. 2018, you were chosen as the National GolfTec Coach of the Year. Big
Yes,
deal. Also that same year, the New Jersey PGA Horton Smith Award, State Teacher Award winner, recognized by Golf Digest, 2020, 2023, 2024, 2025. I missed some years, right? Basically from 2019 till today.
You did right.
Right. But even on a national level, 2021 to 2022, 23 to 2024, you are a master of being a PGA master professional. Some people might think, "Oh, this guy plays with Tiger Woods." Can you explain? Can you explain what a PGA professional is, and specifically your role as an instructor and regional manager and director of instruction at GolfTec?
Probably the easiest way to say it is the PGA Tour is what everyone sees on TV, and the Tiger Woods types and Scotty Schefflers, and PGA professional is more in the business of golf. So whether that be head golf professional at a green grass facility, or more common lately in last 10, 20 years are these indoor facilities like GolfTec, where I'm at, or just even someone who's in the turf agronomy part of the golf business and making courses look beautiful. I give lessons, so I'm in that part of the business where day in and day out, I'm just helping people play better golf. I look at it as I'm helping someone make their life a little bit better. So we all got a lot of things going on, and if you can make something a little bit better for someone, that's nice. But
what do you think people think you do?
Oh God, okay, yeah. So probably the easier one is just like, oh, you're on TV, and I'm like, no, that's a whole other animal. They're really good. They put a lot of time into it. That's not what I do. So the ball sitting still. So in theory, it should be easy, but there's a ton of variables. So it's not solely mechanics. It's you're playing in an environment that changes. So if you have a basketball player or a football player, it's the venue changes, but a football field's a football field, and golf courses change day to day with weather, the conditions throughout the year, if it's firm, soft, whatever, the length of it. So all those variables factor in. Even just if the greenskeeper moves the pin, it just makes it harder or easier.
For those who haven't played golf, much less taken a lesson, I actually equate it to learning how to dance. It's a way of moving your body to get into a desired position. How do you approach talking to somebody, talking about how to get into these abstract motions and abstract positions?
So I've been doing this for 20 years now. So I think I get a little better each year than I was on year one, but I think some of the tools are, not underestimating just the value of taking something, explaining a simple thing in a really, really clear way. Because especially I think just with technology and whatnot, and people can go on YouTube and they can find stuff, and everyone gets hung up on, I should just be here. I should do this with my body or my hands or whatever it is. And my first question is always why. Let the ball dictate what we're trying to do. So start with the ball. And then as far as communicating, the more information you can know, the better. But in a way, I kind of want to say it doesn't matter. And what I mean is, if someone just isn't registering what you're saying, it doesn't really matter that you know it. It matters that they're not getting it. So you have to figure out ways to get through. So I don't know if I came up with this or I heard it at some point, but I liken it to like the shotgun and the sniper approach.
No, I haven't heard this.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're Joe Golf Pro, and you have one message, you'll shoot out your shotgun. So your message will resonate with some people. I think if you're really good at what you do, though, you're more like the sniper, and you can have 10 different people and you can find 10 different ways to get the message across. And there's some, example, the other day I teach someone who's got more of just a tech and IT background, and uh, he just wants every single detail in the world, and it makes it much easier for him to understand. I think some of it's just reading the room, but going from there to temper the message. But if you try to discern, is it just the person needs time to learn it, and that's normal, or is it they could get it faster if I just communicated it differently? So there's always, I think, that balance of how um, how can I figure this out for the person, and I suppose the more often you do it, the easier it gets.
I just interviewed a cinematographer, Jose Aguirre, and he was talking about reading the room on a video set.
A little head nod behind the camera,
Mm,
a little smile, a little
right,
gesture like, "Oh man, that was a great, sound bite. That was a great clip. Let's mark it kind of, lifts them up. And then, okay, how about let's run it
right.
back. Now when you run it back, they're comfortable. It comes up even better.
How do you get to know the student outside of just their swing and their personality, and then how does that translate into how you communicate the abstract theory to them?
Usually in the first session, if you remember way back when we had that 1 hour evaluation, so that's just a time just to take a look at everything, but also it's like kind of like a first date. It's like, all right,
Mm.
well, this is Mark. This is, I think, how he takes information. He took to this pretty quick, or he took to this slower, or I had to go about it differently, and that just kind of gives me an idea of what that's going to be like going forward. And then you fast forward to several years later, and it's like, all right, well, I know how I can get the point across in a minute, right? Um, but if it's like several years later, and it's like, man, it takes a half hour to get the point across, um, I might be doing something wrong. I might not be communicating as well as I think.
You do this really wonderful thing where you pause, and sometimes you'll pull out a pool noodle, those start, and then you'll say, "Hey, I'm going to lay this on the floor. Make your club head follow this." Can you tell me some of the goofier or unexpected methods that you use to get these swing mechanics and swing thoughts communicated?
I think I don't know if this goes in the same ballpark of it, but the one of the more common uh, ones that may be kind of goofy that people aren't expecting is just it's always more than someone thinks. And I ask for a mile. I'm just looking for an inch though, type of a thing.
Hmm.
So when someone isn't getting something, and they'll just use the phrase, I'll like shove them over. I'm like, you need to move the club that far over or swing to that part of the room way more than you think. And then they do it, and they're like, you want it to be that much? Yeah, a lot of external cues kind of go a long way too. Just using stuff around them or their environment, or in our case, the bay. If it's an outdoor environment, then find something outside.
So this is the second time you've mentioned the bay. I've mentioned the bay. You've mentioned the bay. Can you describe what a hitting bay
Yeah,
is?
yeah. So the bay is where I do 90% of the instruction. Uh, so they're big rooms. They have projectors set up inside of them where we're projecting the ball flight onto a screen, and then so that's where they're hitting towards. And then in front of them, as if I was looking at you and I was hitting that way, there'd be a TV where someone can see the video of their golf swing that we'll go through. And um, as you know, we also are measuring their body movements throughout the golf swing. So with the motion, the video, the ball flight, that gives us a lot of facts and information. So you mentioned the pausing. So that's a good opportunity to be like, all right, let's just take a look at what the ball's doing. What are the facts so we can get to the answer as fast and as painless as possible.
Well, that is like actually really mind blowing to me. You're using the change in tools as an opportunity to alter the pace of the teaching so that people can learn better.
Yeah, there are people that'll just rapid fire. They'll just keep breaking balls and just keep going. It's like, hold on, what are we what are we doing here? Let's actually slow down. What's the ball doing? Let's make this change for this reason. Just connect the dots kind of thing.
One of the consistent themes in the interviews that I've had, whether it's somebody who has a PhD in protein folding to creative directors to illustrators, they've mentioned, some of the most fruitful and creative moments are actually not done with technology, not on the computer. I use it as an instructor surrounded by pool noodles as well as high speed cameras. What does that balance look like to you in terms of finding inspiration and not just for yourself, but inspiring the people that you're teaching?
some people will, using all that tech, and it can be helpful. But sometimes to just having I've had some people just like, there's a chair in the room too. So some of them just go have a seat in the chair and we'll just like talk.
Hmm.
And it's like, hey, let's just talk about this kind of thing. Like, not to overanalyze it, but just talk through it. Or the other day, I had someone who was asking about, what makes the ball do the curving it's doing, and there's you can show the data behind that and all that. But I just went on the whiteboard and I just did a amateur drawing at best of how gear effect works and why the ball's curving the way. He's like,
But
oh,
they got it with the drawing.
they got it. Yeah. So even though I had a number that said the ball curves left, some people that's enough. They're like, great, I'm good there. This guy's like, I need to understand this. All right. So here we go. So I draw it up there and he's like, okay.
When did you realize that you had a knack for not just golf, but instruction in particular? Do you remember that moment where you're like, oh, I actually love this and I'm actually really good at this?
About 2 weeks ago. No, I'm kidding. No. So I probably got into golf later compared to a lot of kids nowadays. So I got into like 12 or 13, I think.
And how old typically were, you know, pros
Yeah.
getting into it?
Nowadays I see it younger and younger. I mean,
Like 4 or 5?
yeah. Yeah, I think the love for it kind of grows over time though. So it's hard to maybe put that pinpoint moment on it because over time you get better at it. You develop relationships with people, and it just gets a little bit more rewarding, I think, as time goes on.
One of the things that I've known about you, and maybe not all of your students might not know, or maybe they do, who knows? You're also a woodworker.
Yeah.
Pretty like heavy duty hobby wise, no?
Yeah. Yeah. Any hobby can get out of control, I suppose. Yeah, it happened in COVID. I guess some other things did. One day I told my wife, I'm like, can I just try making an end table?
Hmm.
I think with some hesitation in her voice, she's like, okay. Like almost like a dare. Like,
That's true love,
yeah, yeah.
right?
It's like, okay, let's see how good this is. And it was just something made from lumber, Home Depot. So it was okay. It's still in the house, by the way. But
Not in pieces. It's all
I'm pieces.
okay,
It's
good.
hanging in here. Now I actually chair I'm sitting on right now. I made so stuff like that. It goes, but it's kind of a rewarding thing when you're just you make something with your hands and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. It took me 50 or 100 hours to make that, and there it is. I can always look at it and I can always use it, and it's nice.
I don't know if you're giving yourself enough credit. Like you've made a lot of things. You've made puzzle trays, dressers, floating nightstand, right?
Really
Guitar
nice.
holders, Christmas tree box. You know, you need that for
Yeah.
for the Christmas tree. But again, chairs, even chairs for the kids.
I think with you mentioned my kids. So my daughter, a couple of years ago, she's like, Dad, can we do something? I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. I didn't know what at the time. But I had these plans for this chair that I thought were really cool. She's like, can we make a chair? I'm like, yeah, great. But then we kind of put a girl flare in it. So there's a couple of purple stripes going through it for her.
How much is your woodworking following, say, a set of instructions that you find online versus you kind of coming up with your own ideas?
I did make one thing without any plans. I thought I'd just give it a crack.
Oh, how'd that go? What was it and how did it go?
It went well. It was just like a shoe rack. But I think it's like a hurdle for me is a big part. I think of just like making something is the ability to use some software like a SketchUp type thing, and I just probably got to take some time to learn how to use that.
Without having the benefit of knowing how to use SketchUp, how did you plan out and create that shoe rack?
So inspiration online, just get like an idea, and then when you got it's like, okay, I need to make it a certain size. That was just a whole bunch of pencil and paper for me. So so I went old school, kind of like the whiteboard, I suppose, in the bay.
How much of the creative process in your mind is taking a shot, seeing it fail or succeed, and trying again?
Yeah, probably. I guess I'd say probably with the golf one, maybe less so. So I think probably when I first started, it was more of like, all right, I think I know what I'm doing here, so let's try this. And if I'm wrong, I can pivot and we'll be okay. The wood the woodworking one, yeah, because you could you know making me think I have a buddy who's getting into it, and he's so afraid of making a mistake.
Mm,
And I'm like, it's okay. You can literally fix anything. It's fine.
I
Um,
thought they always say measure twice, cut once.
that's true. It is. You still should do that. And I changed the rule to measure 3 times. Um, but even if you mess up, you still can fix it. So I think like sometimes you kind of get in that. I've actually done it myself too, where it's like I'm so scared to mess up that I would like not start a project. Like I
Hmm.
had a for my dresser, I had the plans for like months, and I'm just like lamenting over it, like going over it in my head. So maybe that's part of the question there too. Is I'll think through the entire thing all the way to the finish line before I do it. So that way I'm like, all right, if when I hit a hurdle, which I will, um, I know how to handle it. It'll be fine. It brings a level of peace and no stress into it. Same with golf, though. It's like, if I'm seeing the ball do what it's doing, there's only so many ways it can do that. So
Mm.
I know what I have to look out for, um, and then it just again it makes it an easier process.
You're really, really good with seeing a vision beginning to end and then executing on it. But then you have your daughter who says, "Hey, can we put is it the purple?"
Yeah, yeah, yep.
How do you find yourself um, contending with something that wasn't part of the original vision?
Oof, good question. Yeah, so that's probably something I generally work on as a person, honestly. Um, Probably a lot of people could say that like it didn't go according to plan. So yeah, no, like initially I was like, this can't be done. But then I think about it, I'm like, it can be done. I got to do a few extra steps. I'll do this and that, and it'll be great because once it's built, it's built. Like you kind of you can fix it, but we want it to be done and enjoy it. So yeah, I think for me, it's just being a little more patient.
Patient with executing or patient with the learning or both?
With the execution piece, yeah, because I tend to be a person that what's the best way we can do it as fast as possible, and I probably err on the side of the fastest possible too much, and just gotta it's okay to slow down.
You said you had competed recently, so your kids can see dad competing. What were you hoping the kids might experience or learn or see with that moment?
Well, first one was just like, hey, this is what dad does, kind of thing, a little bit, not in the sense of playing on TV, but like the stuff that dad goes and teaches people to do, he can do it too. Um, but I think some discipline,
Mm.
a little bit of work ethic, dealing with, I don't say stress, but just kind of dealing with something that's challenging because, you know, competitions is just that it's a challenge.
How much would you say creativity plays a role in playing the game when you're actually on the course?
A ton, I think. The best players usually aren't, hitting at their best all the time, but it's how good they are on their not so great days. And that's when they have to get creative to try and figure out how can I judge the distance when I don't have the distances I like to hit into a hole or the conditions are more challenging or, Tiger's my inspiration there. So I got on the golf.
Tiger who? Is there a golfer named Tiger?
He doesn't need a last name anymore. Um, No, but I got into because of him, and he was just watching him hit the balls the way he did. I'm like, this is just unbelievable. And this is before Pro Tracer and stuff, where you saw the ball curving on TV, and they're just describing it, and you're like, that's awesome. That's fascinating.
Can you think of a moment where you've watched a professional golfer, whether it be Tiger Woods or Rory McIlroy or whomever, where it was pretty evident that they're using their creativity to pull off a shot in a tournament?
Mm, yeah, a lot. One pops out. Tiger, 2003 Olympia Fields U.S. Open, par five, dog leg right, and I don't know the yardage, but he hit a 3 wood, and it was close to a 90-degree curve to the right, intentional slice, in other words. So the thing I train people to not do every day, he did intentionally, and he hit it, fairly close to the hole for a par five. I don't know what he made on the hole, but I was like, That's wild. That's just so cool. People do it by accident. It's a different thing to do with intention, a different thing to do with intention under pressure.
Do you have some things that you typically turn to help calm the mind so you can execute, you can be more creative?
For me, it's just a game. I love the game, but it is just a game. It doesn't define me. I have a wife and kids that love me when I get home. So for me, that helps to like, free up my thinking. It's like, all right, I'm going to do the best I possibly can here, sure. But if I'm thinking about the result and the outcome all day long, not only is it not going to work, but I'm just going to be pretty miserable the whole time.
If you could go back in time and visit your St. Joe's Metuchen self, what do you think that 17-year-old would give you advice on today?
It's going to be okay. Probably it's like, super simple. It's going to be okay. All the things that we think about that take a lot of mental bandwidth that we probably worry about, maybe don't need that much. So it's going to be okay. Slow down, enjoy it. Don't wish the time away.
So my daughter Remy, she's turning 21 this year. My son Milo, who you see baseball videos of him all the time, right?
What?
He's getting his license. He's turning 17 this year. So they're going to be entering kind of the professional stage of their lives. Oh boy, it sounds so big saying that.
Yeah.
What advice can you give them about choosing a career path and potentially using their creativity?
So, for them, and probably the same thing with my kids is like, I think there's like a lot of things that people can do. I think like in our world, it gets conditioned that like if you can only be successful if you only go to college, you only do a certain thing. And there's just a lot of ways that you can go ahead and be successful in life. And then, I think just be different, in the sense where like if you show that you have this work ethic, I think that's something that's becoming a little more of a rare thing as time goes on. So it's like you just show that you're different and that you're willing to think outside the box. I think that just can set someone up for success regardless of what they're deciding to do.
Right. Learn to hit that Tiger Woods 50-yard slice on purpose and use the clubs in ways that people don't expect, right?
Yeah.
Brian, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I hope to see you on the course maybe sometime this year. We'll hit some balls.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.